I've now to Soweto, our reporter Ahmed Kajee there for you. Ahmed, good afternoon to you. How bad is the situation there?
Good afternoon, Stephen. The situation over here in Soweto seems to have eased up considering what we have seen over the last 2 to 3 days or so. But the damage seems to have already been done to significant road infrastructure and electricity infrastructure in and across the south of Johannesburg. Houses were also destroyed over the weekend, and some people are still trying to repair whatever is left of their houses as well. So infrastructure damage seems to have been the most important aspect which has been damaged out here in Soweto and the south of Johannesburg since the rains last week, and is something that will be considered largely by the city, local municipality, as well as the provincial and national government when it comes through to providing those infrastructure support measures when it comes through for the residents as well. The implementation rather of interventions has been something which the city of Johannesburg has mentioned significantly over the last 3 to 4 weeks. They say that they were perhaps looking to see something like this. There would be a repeat of the heavy rains following 3 weeks ago, and they were trying to implement some sort of implementation to ensure that there are interventions in place. That still unfortunately hasn't taken place, and that's the reason why we are seeing the heavy impact of the rains as well. Opposite the Mansfield Hostel where we are right now is the Madala Hall at the moment. Many of the residents from the hostel in those informal settlements have been moved across here as well. They've been stationed here from Friday night, Saturday night and even Sunday, so they would have spent at least one night over here at the Madala Hall out here to just get some sort of adequate shelter given the heavy rains that we have seen as well. And now would actually just be a good time to bring into the conversation one of the residents of the Mansfield Hostel who is actually staying in one of these halls. Thanks very much for your time today. You said you had moved in on Saturday evening. Take us through what has taken place at your house and how exactly has staying at the hall been.
Okay. Ngasho ngithi ukuba sa hall kukwenze kwalula because nemvula asisasitholi, even though singakwazanga ukuthi simuve nempahla zethu, kodwa sinokuhamba ekseni sihambe so-check-a ukuthi kunjani, sibuye esikwazile ukuthi sikuthathe lokho ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi silale, simbathe ukudla, sihamba sopheka endlini sidle bese siyabuya. Iholi nje ikwenze kwathi kuba ngcono kancane.
What do you want government then to do for the residents?
Ukuthi nje asikhiphe lapha asitholele izindlu ezingconywana sikwazi ukuthi sihlale kizo, cause lapha ya sekuyafana nokuthi umfula sekuumfula walela damu lelingale makwenzeka izinto amanzi adlulela la kuthina.
Thanks very much for your time today indeed. So, Stephen, a big part of what the residents are speaking about is government providing significant interventions to assist them in the housing challenges which they have been facing. But it's not just limited to the rainy season that these residents are facing challenges. Throughout the year, the housing seems to be inadequate in and around the south of Johannesburg, whether it be due to inadequate road infrastructure around where they are staying, or perhaps just inadequate groundwater drainage as well. So when it comes to this particular area, it's not linked to 3 or 4 or 5 days of heavy rain, but even beyond that, during dry conditions, the infrastructure is challenging, and that's what's perhaps leading to them facing housing challenges perhaps going forward into the new year as well. Stephen.
And Ahmed, I mean, one of the problems is that if you look at the weather forecast for Joburg and for Nasrec over the next few days, I mean, it's heavy rain all the way through until next week. So people must be really worried about what's actually going to happen over the next few days. You're going to have lots of water on top of lots of water.
Very much so, Stephen, and that just goes to show the importance of adequate stormwater drainage in the south of Johannesburg as well. The South African Weather Service, as you have mentioned, issuing a between level 4 and level 5 heavy weather watch for thunderstorms from this afternoon heading through into midnight and into the rest of the week. Something important, as you also mentioned, is that Nasrec area will also be exceptionally busy coming into the, perhaps heading into the ANC conference starting heading towards the end of the week, into the weekend as well. Heavy rains will be coming down in this area. Heavy traffic will also be coming into this area from media organizations as well as political party representation from the African National Congress, all coming through this particular area. The roads are going to be facing exceptional pressure as well, and with that heavy rain going into the ground, it can get saturated, and that's when we are seeing the collapsing of roads that we have seen over the last few weeks as well, and that we can only hope will be sorted out in some way or form. A big challenge which the heavy rain is also resulting is that any work or construction work which is being done is either being delayed or perhaps even further damaged to any infrastructure which is open. So roads that need to be retarred, or any way or form where excavations are being done to ensure that there is reinforcements of the road, that infrastructure development and that infrastructure repairs rather are also being delayed, and subsequently the impact of the residences are also being shown as well. So speaking specifically around the South African Weather Service issuing that rainstorm and the thunderstorm warning as well, the rain seems to not be just providing a challenge through to the people's houses who may be getting flooded, but also to the infrastructure which is trying to be repaired, and that multi and interdepartmental interventions coming through from government should be starting sooner rather than later.
Ahmed Kajee, our reporter live in Soweto for you this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed.